Simon, thank you once again for having me down here at Ashman's Worthy Pools, where actually, since our last interview 20 minutes ago, I've had a fish. So I probably look a bit smelly and a bit damper from here down. You can't see all the splash marks. But anyway, it's lovely to be fishing here once again. And we've done several different Q&As over the last month or so. We've done a couple today as well. But there's a few things in life. You've got salt and vinegar, fish and chips, and you've got Pallatrax and trolls. Am I right? It's pretty much, if anything,
That's so good. I've not heard that one before.
Or you do seem to get a lot of that sort of comments from online, I'm not going to lie. So let's just dive into that a bit more and address some of these things. Hang on, we've got a lot of these questions here, which are things that we see commonly. You've probably had them all the year. So the first thing is, Pallatrax a genuine disruptor within the industry, and what does that mean, and is it a good thing? Because that's one of your buzzwords, is disruptor. Why do you think that is?
Well, again, it's a business phenomenon, being a disruptor in an industry. So basically what it means is you've come into an industry with new ideas, innovation that disrupts the norm. And so obviously we've come in with a totally different way of fishing than the norm, because we're using a stone as a central point and all the advantages. We've got a third design with the Gripz. We make bait to a biomass kind of scale. We're thinking about things that really are going to help us catch more fish at a very high level. And that's not arrogance. I'd hate to come across as any form of arrogance, but we fish like we fish. And obviously, certainly some of the brands don't like what we're saying, because obviously they're fixated on leads and barbed and barbless and such like. And so we disrupt the norm. It's actually quite unusual. Not many times do you see in business and in industry somebody come into an area of the market with products that basically are better than what's truly the norm, the narrative. And that's what we've done. And obviously it's upset the balance. And but for me, if we don't innovate, we're going to stay. It's like with Nokia phones. Do we still want to be on the old Nokia big brick phone, or do we want to be on a sleek Super Apple? And that's where we are. We've just moved on. We disagree fundamentally with what a lot of the trending narrative is, through facts and research. And so, yeah, we're a disruptor, and I'm proud to say we are, because that means, therefore, innovation is going to come into the industry.
That's all well and good, but you can't cast a stone.
I know. I don't really... I think one of the problems with stones is it's kind of got meshed in with lead and things like that. It's a standalone product. And a flat stone we would use in rivers, or we'd use on a shelf or something like that. If we want to hurl to the horizon, we use a round stone. Of course you can cast a stone. 3 ounces weighs 3 ounces. And I don't know why people have leveled that us up. It's almost like a get out of jail card. They don't work, so therefore they're no good. But that is fundamentally a flawed statement. And as you've just said, you've just caught a fish on a stone, and you've seen how fast they cast. And at the end of the day, a fishing weight, I'm old school, a fishing weight is a fishing weight. It's never been said what it should be made of. Obviously, lead's a profitable item, low melt point, so people have used that. The trouble is, it's man-made. And therefore, we know that a fish can associate man-made with danger, and that's why we use it, and they cast perfectly well. And anybody that says they don't want to be rude here or come across, but we can certainly show you how to cast a stone if you'd asked us to.
You've labelled all those points and said it very eloquently, but still a gimmick.
Yeah, that's something. Yeah, what can you say? We fish at a very high level. We don't do gimmick. When somebody turns around to me and say, "We painted our leads green, the fish can't see it," it's like, well, is that not the gimmick? Because at the end of the day, it's not about what we see; it's about what a fish senses. So we don't do gimmick. We're fishing at a level that we've made fishing very easy. We've taken away and stripped it back. We're fishing with products that have been well researched, and we catch fish all the time. And that's through innovating and through not getting involved with the gimmick scene. We just don't do gimmick.
But this whole thing of leads tainting the water, that's just so you sell more stones, isn't it?
Yeah, that's probably something that gets levelled at me all the time, and it's a shame, really. And I'm not here to. I'm not interested in being controversial, but it is something that's been put out there, and basically, it's a flawed statement. It's an assumption about what the it's an assumption about me. Like I say, if people really knew the honest truth on how much it costs to make a stone compared to a lead, it's several times more expensive, if not even more nowadays. It's certainly not, when it comes to the stones, as I said, is a standalone product. If you want to fish as unobtrusive as you possibly can, using a natural weight as, you know, the casting instrument, you know, if you want to use it for the bulk rig, if you want to flavour it, if you want to use it as a method feeder. But like I say, some of the things that get kind of levelled at us are based on, as you say, like a troll mentality of people trying to knock a product, which is actually really well thought through. And now it's resonating across the planet, to be quite honest. People are fishing it all over the world because they're getting it. And that's because of social media, Team Pallatrax, working with groups like yourself at Carpology. We're just spreading a narrative, drawing people to the conclusions we've made. And because they're factual, people then embrace them as well.
All right, well, Stonze aside then, you've got other products in your range. Steam Link, it's just another coated braid, isn't it?
No, again, it's not. I mean, that's the thing about me. I mean, I got parachuted into this industry in 1998, and because of my inquisitive nature, my thirst for innovation and quality, I did a lot of research on rig material. And again, you'd be surprised where a lot of this stuff comes from, how it's being developed, and one thing another. And I found the hinge rig to be, without a shadow of doubt, the most consistent. I'm not saying you can't use other rigs at particular times, but I want something like the match anglers to be consistent. So I need to therefore focus more on my watercraft or my bait on the day and things like that. And so yes, braid is a material that's used, and different coatings are used obviously as well. So I sourced not braid, I sourced Dyneema. So the inner quarter steam link is actually Dyneema, which is actually the strongest man-made material on the planet by diameter. So, but it's also really thin, so it's also really flexible. And then we've got this unique translucent coating that when you steam it, you create the boom. So again, it's not just a bog standard normal hook coating, it's something that's exclusive to Pallatrax. Again, I'm really proud of it, that it's a product that works so well, and 99% of the time we use steam link in our rig making.
So when you say Gripz are a third design, what do you mean by that? Because there's barbed and barbless.
Well, you've got barbed and barbless, and it is very much about the point. The point dictates the design. It's not, patterns are all different shapes, yeah? Sizes are all the different sizes, but the design up until Gripz, you've had, and it's the point. So you've got a barbless point or a barb point, and now you've got a Gripz point. So it is actually a genuinely new design. It's very innovative. It's won international awards for its fish safety, and thousands of people have converted to it. And I think it's one of those, what I love. I mean, as a company, we're very much about people. People aren't numbers to us, they're people. And so when people contact us or phone us, which happens all the time, the amount of feedback on Gripz, that it's, you know, basically a game changer. People are catching more fish, the durability of the hook point, all the things we've done. And we explained in a film we did, you know, last year with you guys. It is a genuine third design, and we've got a plethora of patterns within that. I mean, I've just developed a new predator hook. We're now just brought out the match hook range. We'll just keep on going. I'm really interested as an angler myself. I do a lot of fly fishing, we used to, when I had time, to bring out a game range. So we're just expanding the design, because obviously within the barbless and within the barbed, there's loads and loads of different patterns. And so that's what's going to happen with Gripz.
Okay, well, I think I've given you enough of a break on the whole Stonze thing, so we're going to come back to that. Fish can't see our leads. We've got them camouflaged, whether green, matching clay or silt. So why will we opt for a stone over a man-made lead that's camouflaged anyway?
And that's the word. We're humanising. Camouflage is a human term. If I paint you yellow and said you're a banana, you're not, you're just curly painted yellow. So the lead is still man-made, and if anything, it's further man-made by these coatings or colours. You know, the irony is, you tell me in nature, any of these colours or camo patterns actually resemble anything in nature. They don't. The fact is, it's not about what we see, it's very much about what fish sense. And they can sense things that are alien to their environment. They learn by association. These are all facts, whether it's from fishery science, whether it's from fish farming. We know this is all true. So if we're all fishing with a large common denominator being man-made, we'll either remove it and have something that does the same job and better. And that's the thing about the stone. It's a true angling tactic / advantage. You know, I would never fish with a man-made weight, purely. Nothing about the toxicity of lead, you know, because there's plenty of non-toxic weights out there. Purely the fact is there will always be man-made, and the fish can always detect that. So it's having that acute understanding, I suppose, because I've done you know, I've got the fisheries and fish farming of old and hanging around in those kind of circles, you start to really understand the biology of the fish and really understand how cute they are in their own backyard. And so taking away the common denominator. And I think as well, when I was a kid, we had coffin leads and Arsley bombs, small weights to do the job. They've obviously got bigger and bigger over the years. I think the industry as well, when they've made it bigger, they've kind of missed out on the fact that fish are also getting wiser. And so, you know, what was a fish 20 years ago is 20 years on, there's a much bigger fish and it's basically sensed it all. So they become so difficult. I mean, like, you know, like washing lines and things like that, we are acknowledging that fish by taking the line out of the water and things like that is an advantage, but we're not seeing it. We are now, obviously the stones are really gaining traction. We're now acknowledging that to paint something doesn't change it other than to a human mindset. I say it's a very, very wrong way of looking at it. You know, the fact is, if they sense it as part of their background chatter, that's a good thing. If they sense it as a negative, that's a bad thing. And we've got rid of that bad thing.
One of your strap lines when it comes to bait and bait making is it's all about the ingredients, which of course is very important, but for most of us, we probably don't know what goes into each of our baits. So can you elaborate on that?
Yeah, I mean, I think, as I've said, you know, when you deep dive into things, I can remember the first carp I ever caught was on a white chocolate boilie, and I thought it was made of white chocolate. You know, the assumptions, again, we're making. And I think where we've gone, especially with boil baits, the focus is on the shape, the flavour and the colour, and you're not really thinking about what is the whole mass made of. And if the whole mass is made of something that is not edible to a fish, it then becomes a lure at the best. So by actually refining and defining what fish need within their diet, you know, you make that mass out of these pure ingredients, you end up with HNV, high nutritional value baits. We know they're better than a synthetic lure bait. So everything is about the ingredients. And if people drill down to it, because it's almost like two red cars, isn't it? So you've got one red car, it's got this super engine, but then you've got another red car right next to it. And you look at them and you think, well, they're both the same. But that one hasn't got an engine, or it's only got a tiny engine. So which one would you rather? And the engine is the ingredients. That's the things that brings the fish to the bait. That's the thing that gets the fish eating it. Because obviously you want your freebies to be actually edible. If you're putting something out, and this is where as a fishery owner, I'm very, very cynical. If a bait goes out there and it has no food value, nothing eats it, doesn't break down, it can rot and cause all these problems. But as an angler, we're almost being fooled in believing that bait equals food. Well, bait doesn't equal food. Bait could equal a lure. So you could say a spinner is a bait. You can say a jelly worm is a bait. They're not food, they're not edible. Most pop-ups, they're not edible. They're an out and out lure because when they're on a hair, obviously I would suggest all bait is a lure because it's actually not going to ever be eaten. But ingredients, whether it's pellets, I've had people say to me, I fish PVA bag tactics, which is fine. No, I tend to, as you know, fish the method more. I think it's more versatile. But then you say to them, well, what pellets? And they go, well, I'm using pellets. Like pellet is an ingredient. Well, it's like boilie isn't an ingredient. And then you discover, I mean, I've discovered at one fishery, they were using pellets and they were actually chicken feed pellets. And you're just thinking, it's these problems that if anglers really deep dived into the quality of the bait, what it's making, what it's made of, and therefore what kind of impact. So it is very much about the ingredients. Good ingredients equals better bait, better for the environment, better all round experience for the angler, and ultimately far more fish on the bank.
So with having so much emphasis on the ingredients of baits, do you make all your boilies and squabs from scratch?
Oh, very much so. That's I suppose the cornerstone, excuse the pun, of Pallatrax. We had this problem, water quality, all these different baits going in. We didn't know what they were, the amounts, what they'd do together. And so the whole object was to produce bait ranges that not only were a high protein, nutritional value level to feed the whole biomass. So we're not just talking about fish, we're talking about all the other critters that live in the water. But obviously by doing that, put it on a hair, put it on a hook as a paste or whatever, you're actually giving fish food. And to do that, and don't get me wrong, as I said before, there's some very good bait companies out there, but at least I know within, totally clear in my conscience, that I'm doing the best I can within the manufacturing. So we literally start it everything from scratch and work all the way up.
Well, all the sort of trolls aside and hate aside, Pallatrax is growing, there's no denying that. So what's next with it, with the stages that Pallatrax is growing?
Yeah, we certainly had a bit of a David versus Goliath situation over the years, and all I will say is David did win with a stone. And I think people are just seeing us for what we truly are. There is no hidden agenda. We've based everything on facts. For example, 𝘃𝗶𝗱𝗲. 𝘃𝗶𝗃 isn't a radiated copolymer. It does do what it's meant to do because of the science behind it. You can cast a stone. All these kind of things that have been levelled at us historically, they've all gone. People are genuinely interested. I think people are also, a lot of anglers, because obviously we're an international brand, you know, we're dealing with bass anglers in America or predator anglers in Thailand. The results are speaking for themselves is one thing. I think the amount of fish for what is in real terms compared to the major brands, quite a small pool of anglers still. But yeah, it's genuinely massively exciting. You know, it has been challenging, as I say. It's been frustrating when you're trying to, you know, you're a little kind of squeak in a room of buffaloes and we're suddenly getting bigger and people are having to take notice of us. And I think the fact is that we genuinely are innovating. We are bringing new kind of ways to go fishing. One of the things that happens for me all the time is people actually say to me, I'm excited now. I've got something else. I've been doing the same old forever and a day. I'm not changing results. If anything, they're getting worse. They then meet what we're doing. It all adds up. It all makes common sense. Fishing unobtrusively, fishing with the highest quality, baits, terminal tackle, all the kind of things we're doing. And they're going away and they're taking it to their lakes or their rivers or wherever they fish, catching fish. Because at the end of the day, it's a fishing system and it's very, very well refined. And I think social media has been a massive thing for spreading it. And so where are we going? We're going all over the world. You know, I'm just about to go on my travels again. Stuff we're doing like in Canada is so exciting. I'm just buzzing, to be quite honest, because as I say, there's been that frustration, but we've moved on. We've now got another lake complex. I can do all the things we're doing. So we're kind of proving it. There's no arrogance. It's all about never here to tell people how to fish. But what I can say is we'd always draw people to the conclusions we make ourselves. And people then, once they're armed with the knowledge, they draw their own conclusions and you end up with the same answer as us. It makes sense. It makes really good sense. And when you put it into practice, you're catching fish. And there's so many products, because I've been in the trade for so long, like 25 years now, it's not as though these are the only products I've developed. I've had loads and loads of thoughts and ideas. That's what I get really kind of buzz about. You know, what can we do with this? How can we make that better? How can we turn things round away from almost coming off the rocks and getting out into open water? And I think every country we're getting involved with, as I said earlier, angling is an international language and we speak the same language as anglers all over the world. So we are just going to get bigger. But my main focus obviously is what I think is the really important bit, is everything underwater. But though we've got more bait developments and things like that in the pipeline, you know, of course now I'm going to start looking bankside and looking at other things going forward. So it's just massively exciting. And with that growth, we can continue to innovate, and that's what we shall do.